So I guess the goal of this whole thing was to come to some sort of conclusion about the Hebrew Bible and globalization, and that's a pretty tough thing to do. Every time I think that I have some sort of answer to all these questions and problems, it turns out that I don't, or at least that other people disagree with me and provide valid arguments as to why my solutions don't answer their questions and problems. And they're right, my answers aren't their answers. So what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to enforce justice if no one can agree on what justice even is? This is certainly a problem. But the even greater problem is that we don't even get to try. We live in a world run by invisible decisions that shape our environment and perception. The things that we buy affect people across the globe, and the store next door pays its clerks $7 an hour, and the individuals who picked your and my groceries get 7 cents an hour. This system of extremely intertwined relationships has become so pervasive that it is nearly impossible to buy an orange without indirectly supporting de facto slavery. But we don't question it. Some people protest the way things work, but they don't ask why. They don't question the basis of the system. We just think that we can make it play nice. We also think that it has to be this way, that there is no other way to organize an economic system. We're constantly told that this system is a natural one, and it appears to be. And if this is natural, then who are we to contest it? I've come to the conclusion that it's not natural. I think that we have all these huge economic institutions, the WTO, IMF, World Bank, governments of varying wealth, and transnational corporations. These groups are not natural in any way. They construct the way the world works, just as media conglomerates construct what we see and how we see the world. So we have this globalized world. Market barriers have almost completely been eliminated, and a significant majority of the world is impoverished and works to produce the material comforts for the relatively small percentage of the world that can afford them. It seems a lot like the situation in Nehemiah 5. The working class is kept in poverty and heavily in debt, while the power elite live comfortably. They cried out, "Now we are as good as our brothers, and our children as good as theirs, yet here we are subjecting our sons and daughters to slavery." Nehemiah 5:5. According to the current text, Nehemiah went to the nobles and told them that their behavior was out of covenant with Yahweh. Thus he immediately forgave the debts and released the debt slaves, and apparently everything was fine after that. So they had constructed extreme poverty for their own benefit, and then just reversed it when threatened by a prophet. This story does show the constructed nature of poverty, but also seems a bit unrealistic, a reason that the masses' outcry and the possibility of rebellion actually forced the elite to redistribute the wealth. This sentiment is echoed again in Habakkuk by condemning those who unjustly exploit other peoples and lands for material gain. However, in the end, because you have plundered many nations, all surviving people shall plunder you for crimes against men and wrongs against land. Habakkuk 2:8. In relating to globalization, I would say that the West and developed world has been doing the plundering for some time, and eventually those who have been taken advantage of will retaliate. You can start to see the ripples of such a trend scattered across the globe, governments and peoples rejecting globalization, in which only the core benefits and the periphery is subjugated. Specifically, left-leaning governments of Venezuela, Bolivia, and to some extent Brazil have rejected the paternalism that the United States has traditionally exhibited towards Latin America. These populist sentiments may at the moment be scarce, but I feel that the current economic crisis will certainly discourage what small amount of goodwill the rest of the world has for capitalism and the US. And now, to relate all of this to the seemingly random video you've been watching. We look at the world and feel that it is natural. We go to a park to swim, we feel like we are in nature, but then realize that the river has been dammed and is next to a busy road. This seemingly innocuous interaction with the natural world is revealed to be a result of an extreme alteration to the environment. In much the same manner, we constantly interface with the only world that we have ever known, this concretized, technologized, electronically connected world, one where communication is instant and travel and transportation have been radically accelerated. We have Walmart where we can buy anything we would need to survive and a whole lot of stuff that we don't need. But where does it come from? It comes from all over the globe, but while extremely convenient for us, this has driven down commodity prices and destroyed traditional communities. We have shelves full of food, some of which was produced by individuals who are starving, not to mention clothing produced in sweatshops and other assorted and unnecessary goods. But what can be done? Walmart and corporations like it are extremely powerful and well connected, and it is nearly impossible to not be complicit in the exploitation of the developing and underdeveloped world. So what can be done? What should be done? Is it even up to us? I feel that it is up to us to look past the constructiveness of our present world and realize that it doesn't have to be this way. Although everything is made to make us think the opposite, we can make up whatever type of world we want, and that's exactly what the powers that be don't want us to know. Regardless, the oppressed will rise up, and it is up to us to assist them from inside the system. We must look past the decentering nature of globalization and create a global community that puts contextualized solutions first and removes otherness-based exploitation. It's not as though my saying this is completely selfless. I mean, as a citizen of the empire, I know that if this whole paradigm of globalization doesn't change, then I will suffer at the hands of those who cannot forgive what I have done and what I didn't do.